in a down market. Nobody was making much, but not everyone had adrenochrome. It says, it seemed to cut my learning curve. I was jacked in, booted up. At the end of the week, my brokerage account was worth over $2 million.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Friendly fire is some of the worst things that can happen to you on the battlefield. When you're taking incoming from your own side, you're truly cooked. On the battlefields of politics and the culture war, it's also really bad. It means you're also cooked. Now, it's not particularly crazy for Caroline Leavitt to come out and say, wow, Jill Biden was lying about Joe's health and is a criminal and is guilty of elder abuse and needs to be prosecuted. This is what Caroline Leavitt said today at the White House. But get ready, because DNC officials are about to say the same thing.
President Biden's decline. Is the president satisfied with aides only sitting for these transcribed interviews, or would he also like to see some kind of testimony from the former First Lady, Dr. Biden?
I think, frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband and when she saw it and what she knew. Because I think anybody looking, again, at the videos and photo evidence of Joe Biden with your own eyes and a little bit of common sense can see this was a clear cover-up. And Jill Biden was certainly complicit in that cover-up. There's documentation, video evidence of her clearly shielding her husband away from the cameras. They were just on The View last week. She was saying everything is fine. She's still lying to the American people. She still thinks the American public are so stupid that they're going to believe her lies. And frankly, it's insulting, and she needs to answer for it.
Okay, so again, this is what you would expect from Caroline Leavitt at the White House, talking to a Fox News reporter. But what about the vice chairman of the Democrat National Committee, famous activist David Hogg, who was caught on hidden camera admitting that Jill Biden's corrupt dirtbag team actually ran the White House and covered up Joe Biden's terminal cancer. It's the biggest scandal in American history that I can remember. Here's David Hogg on camera saying, no, you don't understand. It was an entirely fake administration.
Nice to meet you, yeah.
Off the record, of course.
Foundational question for me is, like, how corrupt is the DNC if so many people knew, or few people knew about Biden? Well, the president of the United States.
I mean, I think the fact of the matter is the DNC is always going to be like a campaign arm of the president, ultimately. The bigger issue is like the inner circle that was around Biden. That's it. And I can't stress to you enough, like Joe Biden's chief of staff, like had an enormous amount of power.
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's chief of staff. That was like an open secret. Like, I would avoid them. Like, he was scary.
What was his name?
Anthony.
I've never seen him.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
He's like a shadowy, like, Wizard of Oz type figure. That's what made him so, like, I knew how he looked, but like the general public wouldn't know how this man looked. But he wielded an enormous amount of power, and I can't stress to you how much power he had at the White House.
So what did these guys say? This former White House staffer and David Hogg, vice chair of the DNC. Who did they say? Anthony Bernal. Anthony Bernal. Okay, here we go. Who the hell is that? This is strange. Like, these people, this is what you call the deep state. I mean, this is like when you don't know their names or faces, this is how they operate. He's an American political aide. He served as senior advisor to Jill Biden. Well, for their entire time in the White House. He previously served Barack Obama presidency and Bill Clinton's presidency, and he served as deputy campaign manager during Joe Biden's 2024 presidential campaign. Okay. He was one of 4 aides reportedly at the meeting at Joe Biden's house where Joe Biden decided to stop running for president. Yeah, right. Okay, got it. He's been subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee, requesting that he sit for a deposition. And then there's nothing else. Isn't that strange? All these years in politics, and you got nothing else on your Wikipedia. That's it. This is it. Okay. That's how you know. That's how you know. It's pretty wild, though. The friendly fire continues because, well, Project Veritas caught David Hogg slamming Nancy Pelosi as an insider traitor as well. Pretty interesting here. Burn it all down. Speaker Pelosi gets better returns than every single hedge fund. Jeez. Okay, here we go.
Pelosi's actually very good at her job. I don't agree with the stock trading stuff. I mean, she gets better returns than almost every hedge fund in this city. Every year. Some of these members of Congress make trades that are like way too well timed to not have like insider knowledge. They happen to be some of the best financial analysts in human history. Have you spoken against that? I've talked to them, but it's also like, I know that if I pick that fight, it's going to be harder for us to get gun control passed. So I have to pick my battle. Like the hardest part about my job is I just want to burn everything down because it's all so corrupt. But you got to pick your battles and slowly build your momentum.
I love this. They go on to like talk about how David Hogg, he sat down and like described how corrupt Nancy Pelosi was. It's amazing to me how stupid these people are, but also almost how in league you can be with them because the system is so unbelievably corrupt. And for any outsider that comes and observes the system in DC, you're just like, yeah, absolutely should burn it all down. And you should ban stock trading. That's something that I agree with David Hogg, which is quite fascinating. But you can see why David Hogg is so despised inside of the DNC. Man, this is not going to make him any friends. It's an unnecessary fight to pick when there's other members that are far weaker. And I would say Pelosi's actually very good at her job. I don't agree with the stock trading stuff. You don't? No. Some of these members of Congress make trades that are like way too well timed. And he goes on to say that Nancy Pelosi beats every single hedge fund, which is crazy that David Hogg is saying the same thing as Kash Patel.
Nancy Pelosi's insider trading deals. It is insider trading, and she keeps making up hundreds of millions of dollars. So do dozens of other congressmen and women. So they know what's going to happen. They're writing the legislation. They're doing the funding. It's the same thing for the media circuit. These people, not all of them, but for the most part, live and breathe to get on these TV shows. I could care less if I'd ever do media again. In fact, I'd probably be a much happier guy. These guys are begging to get on your show for 3 minutes here and 4 minutes there. They're begging for relevance, and they're looking for any way they can get it.
Do you think I shouldn't have any government officials on?
I think they should just have people who care about questioning them.
It's so interesting that David Hogg agrees with Tucker Carlson.
Here's that members of Congress consistently beat the S&P 500 in their personal investments.
Nancy Pelosi.
And a lot of others.
Right.
And Pelosi especially.
She's the famous one.
Yeah. So how does that, is Nancy Pelosi, do you think, a stock-picking genius?
No, she has to be operating on information that's non-public. Or is it not?
Wouldn't that make her a criminal?
Yeah, but, look at Joe Biden right now. I mean, look what's going on right now. Like, listen.
Do you think he's a good stock picker?
Joe Biden? No, I think he's great at laundering money, though.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
apparently.
From what I've seen right now, I don't get it. Like, just imagine if it was Trump who was president.
Yeah.
Well, every single day on the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and every other publication would be like $40,000 check or $20,000 check from his brother. Like, it'd be game over. Cries for impeachment.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like the world falling down. He's in charge.
Wow. Very unique. Truly. Remember that one time that Nancy Pelosi was asked if she'd be in favor of banning stock trading?
I think we have to go now. One more, he said. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he has received from you?
What are you saying?
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information he received from you?
No, absolutely not. Okay, thank you.
When things are infected, they hurt. Oh man, very interesting. That look forward to some of the heat brought upon Pelosi, her tenure as Speaker of the House. There's going to be some interesting things happening as it relates to January 6th and hopefully insider trading. David Hogg busted slamming Speaker Pelosi for insider trading. Holy smokes! Project Veritas catches David Hogg slamming Speaker Pelosi's extremely well-timed stocks. They named it the Pelosi Act, preventing elected leaders from owning securities and investment. Josh Hawley, well done. There, Pelosi announces bid for 2 more years of insider trading. That's right. And always a reminder that 60 Minutes once actually did real reporting and straight up asked Nancy Pelosi at a press conference why she was so good at trading stocks.
Pelosi also declined our request for an interview, but agreed to call on us if we attended a news conference.
Madam Leader, I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa. At a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we didn't.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were
investments, but
Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
No, it only has the appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Pelosi pointed out that the tough credit card legislation eventually passed.
Okay. Hey, lady, we have you in an IPO for a company with legislation that would directly affect that company, and you destroyed it, and then you made a lot of money. So that seems like insider trade. It seems like you're insider trading. You should really ban stock trading. Uncensored AI. The Nancy Pelosi net worth, how did it get so high? The increase in Pelosi's net worth likely stemmed from her husband's successful investments, possibly leveraging insider information gained through her political connections. Here's a breakdown. Insider trading, timing of investments, connections, and influence. So we're trusting AI, right? Well done. It's fun to watch the friendly fire. On the other side, it's time for Republicans to keep their house in order as well. Like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. If you think that Nancy Pelosi is an insider traitor, and